is the greatest football club in the world. And the reason it's the greatest football club in the world is because of the support. And it always will be because of the support. Players come and go, directors, managers, whatever. The support is what makes it great. You know, Joe Steen said it. Football without the fans is nothing. You know, the first Celtic board built a stadium for 60,000 when the average crowd was 12,000. They knew there was something special. And it's the fans that make that. It's always the fans. And it's such a broad church at Celtic. You know, you've got all these fantastic organisations like Kano, and then you take the Celtic Trust and all that kind of thing. And even if you look at somebody like the Celtic Trust or the Green Brigade, they're kind of known for one thing. But the amount of work they do behind the scenes to help other people is incredible. You know, for Jeanette, you talk about Celtic Trust, we're campaigning for a living wage. But I'll tell you what else they did. They're also giving people legal advice when they're in trouble with the police or they've been arrested abroad or something like that. Yeah. And that takes a lot of work and effort. The Green Brigade, as you say, everybody, they sing the songs and all the rest of it. But they're also helping with the food bank collection and taking donations, etc. And it's just part of Celtic. It's Celtic is a special football club. And that's why we've kind of said, as Robert Kelly said in 1967, this is more than a football club. And as Peter Lawwell says now, this is a club like no other. And it's the fans who make it that. You know what I mean? It's the fans' triumphs and kind of tribulations as well, if you like, that make it that special football club. And it is unique. You mentioned, you know, the Kano and the fact that there's no other clubs do that. I mean, there's so many facets of Celtic Football Club that are like that. And I guess the only bad side about that is it's kind of why a lot of people feel at odds with the club right now, in the sense that the people who run it, there's a suspicion that didn't share the same sort of ethos. But added to that, and you mentioned this as well, Jason, he says whoever manages the football club, you'll still support them. But when it's in terms of somebody running it, that's what you want to look at and say, you know, are you in tune with what I believe Celtic Football Club should be? And what Celtic Club should be is, as far as I'm concerned, even above a good football team, is a beacon for the community that has always supported it. It should always be a beacon of hope. And I think it's the fans that continually give us that beacon.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And then it gets us on to the living wage, and they've got something there on the plate that all they need to do, tiny bit of investment in the grand scheme of things, and then they become a club like no other. Because at the minute, they've got a big banner up saying a club like no other. It should change it to saying we've got fans like no other. a club like no other. They're just like any other corporate conglomerate walking about. Mm-hmm. You know, to me, they're just like every other club. They've not got any unique selling point apart from us, and we do that on our own.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where I kind of stand there. And another thing, the Celtic Grave Society as well. It was last week, I think their membership's up for renewal, so if anybody's not joined that again, it's a tenner. Go onto the Facebook, and I know we're probably costing folk about 70 quid to listen to this show, but the Celtic Grave Society, some of the work that they do, and I'll be honest with you, the Celtic Grave Society gave me my best night ever following Celtic, and it was that 125th year Mass at St Mary's. I'll never ever forget that as long as I live. You know, and that was guys like Jim and co at the Celtic Grave Society that put that on for the support, and it was just, talk about emotional. You know, that's one of the greatest nights of my life, and it was the night before we beat Barcelona as well. So that's another group of Celtic fans. And they've helped me a lot as well through some of my mates that follow Everton, helping them a lot of research and that as well. And it's you don't know how much work these guys put into stuff behind the scenes. You know, it is incredible. Maybe if you go to one of their commemorations or whatever, and you just think people are just turning up here and a couple of guys are saying a few words, the work that goes into this behind the scenes, it's incredible, and that's what makes me very proud to be a Celtic supporter, because I'm part of this movement and play a wee small part, but it's amazing.
Yeah, but it's kind of like, as Jason made, the fans force the issue upon the club and upon the board. You know what I mean? And a good example is yesterday when the players came out. Like, I mean, Joe Magan had said to me, he says that never happens. You know, but it's because we're bombarding them, going like, you know, no, you have to follow suit in what we're doing. You have to get behind us. We're not getting behind you. You got to get behind us, because we are essential to what you want to do. Now, I imagine they look at other sort of, you know, corporate, you know, masters or whatever of other clubs like your Uniteds and your Man Cities and your Evertons, Liverpools, whatever. And I'm sure none of those guys have to go to, you know, any of the trouble that we want the board to go to. But that's what we expect. We only expect them to have the same mentality that we do, you know, in terms of giving and caring and, maintaining the strong backbone of what Celtic Football Club is, and it's the fans that force the issue upon them. I mean, I don't know for a fact whether or not this show or us moaning has had any effect on what happened to us yesterday on Sunday, right? But I would like to think that us bitching and moaning, and Joe Mackin also, coming on here and saying he's not getting phone calls, he's not getting emails. I would hope that Joe and us and the Kano will force the issue upon the club and upon the board, saying no, you have to respond to what we want. You have to, or else we're going to make life hard for you because you're not living up to our expectations of what Celtic Football Club is. And that's what makes us a strong force, a force to be reckoned with as fans, And I don't mean that in a pompous way, going we're fans and we can do it, and we'll make the decisions. We have a very set, and it's a very wide agenda, it's a very wide belief that Celtic should be a giving club, it should be an open club, and it should be very much for the fans, right? And when that doesn't happen, we all become disconcerted, not with the club, with the team, but with the board and with whoever's running the place. And the thing is, we don't shirk that. We go ahead and we force the issue upon them. And I think that makes us very different to a lot of other fans. I mean, a lot of fans, in the face of a corporate, megalith, would just be like, we can't change this. We can't move this mountain. Whereas Celtic fans, we know we can. We know we can.
Yeah.
And that's what makes us different. That's like every time I go to Celtic Park, I always get the same feel. I always get the same sort of lungful of delight. And real sort of. It's Billy Connolly said. He said you go to a Celtic Park and you get a lungful, and that lasts you for a while. And then you got to go back and get another lungful. And I always get that walking away from Celtic Park. I always get that when I go to Celtic Park. When I see Celtic Park, I get the same sort of butterflies in the stomach, and it's that feeling it's really, really important. And I think it's that feeling that the club and the board need to recognise that we do have that, and we want that to continue, and we want to pass that on to other people and other children, young people and other fans, and we want to spread that as far away as you can.
Yeah. And see, the thing is, Joe, it's not that we're asking for anything extortionate.
No, I mean,
we're not demanding they go out and spend $5 million in players. We're not demanding they pay X amount of wages to these overpaid prima donnas. They're just guys that we support the shirts. We don't support the people in them. The people in them are heroes for a short period of time, then they move on with their life. But the constant is Celtic. We support the green and white hoops. And it's just the custodians that run the club for a certain period of time. We put our faith in them doing the right thing. And all we're asking is for them to do the right thing. Yeah. It's not groundbreaking stuff,
Certainly, yesterday when the players came out, I mean, it took about half an hour at most. All the kids were delighted. I mean, the kids from Dublin and the kids from Dumbarton that were out as well. And it was great. Now, but has to go to Jerry Carlisle. I mean, from what I know, Jerry got in contact with Joe Mackin got in contact with Jerry, and Jerry came straight back to him and said, "Not a problem.
Perfect.
Anthony Stokes will be there." Now, Stokes wasn't playing. I mean, he was injured. He was telling us he got a knock on his ankle and he couldn't play. But Jerry made sure that he came out. You know what I mean? And he came out as soon as the kids were there, he came straight out. You know what I mean? And then after that, it became a bit of a a player would come out and chat with them and stuff. But it didn't take that long. I mean, it took 10 minutes out of the players' lives. You know what I mean? Obviously players have got lives to get on with. They got kids, they got wives.
But they're getting paid fortunes. Sure, half an hour out of their life after the end of a game isn't much to ask for.
Yeah, I know what I'm saying, but if that happened, if that was something that happened regularly,
it should happen regularly.
It should happen regularly, and I would like to think that it might happen more often. And the cool thing I seen yesterday was Joe was getting interviewed by what's it called? Is it Kenny McCaskill? Is that his name? The guy from Celtic TV.
Could be, I'm not sure.
I don't know his second name. Big, tall, good-looking dude with the beard.
Black hair.
Aye.
Kenny McIntyre, maybe, I think.
I can't remember. I just know him as Kenny. Good-looking guy. He was interviewing Joe Mackin, and I was me and Brian were joking, going, "What about that? Moving up in the world, Joe, eh? Moving up in the world. He's going to the dark side now, leaving us." But it was great to see that. I mean, because then that's going to be that's the Kano getting represented through the media department that Celtic have. And Brian pointed out the PR guy. He was walking up the tunnel, and I said, "Fuck, we should grab him." I said, "We should grab him and grill him for half an hour." The PR guy, and ask him what he's been up to for the past few years. But standing there and watching all that happen, I was thinking to myself, I hope this is the beginning something new, something different. Like, I hope we've cracked this egg, you know, in terms of like getting the club closer to the fans, getting the board closer to the fans. I really hope that's what's happening. I hope it wasn't a once-off, you know. And I don't want to say that in a negative context. I want it to be a positive context. Going like, I really, really hope that, you know, this is a kind of new beginning for relationships between, you know, the likes of the Kano and Celtic, you know, or any group that approaches Celtic, you know. And I would go so far as to say I think Celtic should have a department strictly for those things, you know.
Yeah.
And not a PR department, because that's clearly not working as well as it should. But there should be something just like that for those moments, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Jerry Carlisle. Jerry takes a table for me for the Kano every year, and last year at the dance, it was down to him, myself, nothing official for Celtic. Yeah. It was down to him that he got young Owen O'Connell to come to the dance, and also Niall McGinn. Yeah. Niall McGinn, he was playing at home for Aberdeen that day. He got in the car straight after the game and drove down to Glasgow and came to the dance off his own accord, you know. And just thanks to Jerry for doing that, and as I say, for obviously getting Stokes as well. But it's a sad day when you need to go through agents, and you need, you know, rather than just going to Celtic straight away and they can do it. But at the end of the day, Celtic produced the goods at the weekend, so pats in the back to them for that.
Absolutely. Cannot fault them. Cannot fault them at all.
And just hopefully that's a start. And as you say, I've got another wee point about Sunday. I've got a wee sort of happy story as well. I got up to my season ticket, and my kids didn't want to go. It was bucketing of rain, and they were like, I don't want to go, Daddy. And I felt terrible, you know, when you're driving into the game yourself and stuff. So I came and met you guys, met Joe and all the boys, and then I went round to the seat. So I just goes in, and there was a guy sitting on my seat. I've got 3 season tickets. The guy was sitting on it, but there was some spare seats next to it. So I just sat next to the guy. And it was a guy, Peter Stevenson. I got his name. Came from Nottingham, and he was registered blind. And I mean, I'm in the North Upper. But he had this sort of telescope that he was watching the game through. Lovely fella, and he drove up that morning for Nottingham. He didn't drive himself, but he drove up with his mates. He was a funny guy, you know, and he was having a laugh about it. He said he could see the players, but he couldn't see the numbers in the back of the jerseys and stuff like that, who it was. So, but it was a good crack at the game, good patter, and Celtic diehard, English guy, and but he's one of his parents were Irish, and that's where he get the Celtic link. And I says, do you follow Forest? No, I hate them, just Celtic. And he got up there and got into the ticket office, and he was ready to buy his ticket, and someone had got the 2-for-1 offer, so they just turned round and gave Peter the other ticket. Brilliant. You know, so he got his ticket free. But we just had a good crack about watching Celtic, and he'd never seen Celtic lose at home. They'd been coming for years as well, obviously not every week. But just a big shout out to Peter. And he knows a load of guys for the Derby. I know Brendan Tierney, he would phone the show a lot when we were taking calls. So I think he knows Brendan, and he knows of Brendan, because he knows a load of guys for the Derby Celtic Supporters Club. So he's part of the Nottingham Shamrock. But it's just amazing, they guys, you know, you take your hats off to these guys, the effort they put in to come and follow Celtic when they've got the English Premiership on their doorstep, and they still come up to follow Celtic. So there is still hope, and if we can just sort of do a wee bit more with the market, and I don't know, to me a big thing, summer football and things like that. I think we need to be proactive in Scotland to, you know, because Kilmarnock brought the biggest away support, I think, in, Paul, 20 years? You know, Dundee United's crowds are up, Aberdeen's crowds are up, like Dundee's, Hearts. You know, Hearts, Hibs there, Hibs again, you know. Oh, mate, you just knew it was coming, didn't you? I got a text from my mate when I was at the game. You think, oh, good for Stubbs, he's got a victory, and then 4 minutes into injury time or so, they jambos. It must just be hell on earth being a Hibs supporter. You know, oh, man. But, no, I just thought I'd share that, and a big shout out to Peter if he listens in. That was great to sit next to you, mate, and more power to you. And it was good crack. So it's good. It's good when you get that again, though. You get sitting next to somebody. It's good patter, and just get talking about the old times following Celtic, and it's brilliant. You know.
I tell you something that I forgot to tell you there. This had been the most bizarre part of the weekend, right? And even like me and Brad and Joe Macker were going like, "What the fuck's going on?" We were standing right, and we're just about to walk because Pat was like, "Let's get everybody inside," right? And as we walked towards the family stand, this Asian woman jumped in front of the kids, right? Now, I'm not going to do an Asian accent because I don't want to be